the broom o' the cowden knows. I wish I were with my dear swain, with his pipe and my yowls. So thank you very much, Neil, for inviting me and Mandy, Elizabeth McCormack, into this space, and it's an honour to take part in your research project.
Thank you.
Thank you also to the Guildhall School of Music and Drama for financial support from the Postgraduate Research Fund, as well as their support for my ongoing studies. And many thanks to the Knowledge and Exchange Department of the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland for the Athenaeum Conference Presentation Awards granted to myself and Elizabeth McCormack. So that was the traditional Scots song, The Broom of Cowden Knows, which I sang a minute ago. And this was sung by the soprano Francesca Gabrieli Corri at a meeting of the Edinburgh Musical Society on June the 4th, 1784. Francesca Gabrieli's talents were in fact the reason for her husband Domenico's employment in Edinburgh, as it was she whom Dr Charles Burney primarily recommended to the Society. In September 1770, Burney wrote, "The Roman performers from whom I received greatest pleasure were Signor Cristofero for voice and high finishing, Signor Mazzanti for taste and knowledge of music, La Gabrieli, or as we know her, Francesca Gabrieli Corri, commonly called the Miniatrici, for brilliancy and variety of style." And this is published in the Present State of Music in France and Italy, 1771. So, my Corri journey began about 1993. Dr Stephen Preston, founding member of the English Concert and Professor of Classical Studies at the Guildhall School of Music, when both Neil and I were students there, he loaned me his copy of Corri's Singer's Preceptor, his 1810 treatise. So when I began to teach at the Guildhall in 2000, I used Corri's Haydn editions with fourth year undergraduates in their classical song module. And this usually took the form of a quiz, where we would compare the Henle Verlag editions of My Mother Bid Me Bind My Hair and She Never Told Her Love with Corri's. And we would then work on song repertoire from circa 1760 to 1820 by embellishing with a few graces and cadenzas. And this was my first experience of using the resource. So 20 years later, COVID-19 pandemic, lockdown, I was offered a chance to become a student again, and I chose Corri as my PhD project, leading to sleepless nights, distractions, torments, all of that. So in June 2024, I took an iPad, a microphone, and my friend, the keyboardist Jan Waterfield, to the historic Musical Instrument Museum at the St Cecilia's Concert Hall in Edinburgh, which is the late 18th century workplace of the Corris and the main venue of the then Edinburgh Musical Society, their employers. So there, Jan and I worked our way through 9 Corri edited items using a harpsichord from 1793 and a piano from the same year, both by John Broadwood. So I need also to say thank you so much to Jenny Nex at Edinburgh University for facilitating and hosting our 2 mornings of recordings. Jenny and Jan chose the instruments according to their fitness for use. So I'm just now analysing and making audio files into videos as the methodological chapter of my thesis. So the process of putting research ideas into practice is slow and frustrating, and I'm rarely happy with the results, particularly listening to the Edinburgh recordings. So guddling about with the process of bringing forth a version of Corri's publications is currently my work. However, there have been opportunities to perform, because I'm a performer, I'm not really a researcher or an academic at all. Well, I really amn't. Anyway, so performing Corri's material is an absolute joy. So, couple of instances. Corri's annotated edition of Henry Purcell's Bess of Bedlam had an outing as part of a Dunedin consort chamber programme with one of my supervisors, Professor John Butt, playing harpsichord. Professor Janice Brooks, Southampton University, she organised a symposium and a concert for Southampton University's Sound Heritage Project in another of the Corri brothers' old workplaces, the Duke of Buccleuch's Dalkeith Palace, south of Edinburgh. And for this, duets and trios were presented with another of my supervisors, Dr Brianna Robertson-Kirkland. And this concert, a concert in 4 lessons, was recorded and is available online, and I can give anybody the link if they want it. Professor Brooks and Dame Emma Kirkby were my PhD upgrade assessment examiners, and their feedback in respect of the content and the structure of my work is so useful. Domenico writes, in the explanation of the nature and design of the following work, indeed, either an air or recitative sung exactly as is commonly notated would be very inexpressive, nay, a very uncouth performance. So, the execution of graces in a nutshell. Ascending grace of 1 interval. You start soft and go stronger into the main note. Descending grace of 1 interval. You start strong and decrescendo into the main note. A leaping grace, soft, barely heard before the main note. Turn grace, you take it strong and you melt into the main note. And I've put a question mark after this. Anticipation grace. The note on the left of the grace swells into the grace, which must itself melt again into the note following. So let's see slide 5, Bess of Bedlam. Shall we just see how that goes with a bit of Bess of Bedlam? And I'll try and do the stuff that Corri says. And we'll stop. Yep. We're going to stop. We're going to stop at elegy. So one thing also that I've noticed about this version, there's no suggestion for trills. Where a 21st century singer might put one in, Corri indicates turns and descending graces. Now, in a recent supervision, John Butt suggested that Corri might be aiming this edition at less experienced singers, as trilling is a difficult and advanced vocal technique. So that supervision I've got here was on the 5th of December, it's quite recent. So that's all very well to say, but in fact I wouldn't suggest this song for first or second year undergraduates, even without the trilling, because it's quite monumental actually, and I haven't got it right yet, I'm still not happy with what I do. So there are leaping and turn graces, many opportunities to breathe, a pause for a swelling and the dying of the voice on the word elegy, and I've got a favourite ascending grace that I can't do, it's on the word fields in bar 8, but we wonder whether that might be a typo. There it is there.
A G natural to the G sharp. Yeah,
I'll absolutely love it, but I don't think I've ever got it right yet. So from silent shades and Elysian groves, where sad departed saints none La Mia Bella. So this is Corri's own La Mia Bella, one of the part songs in the Select Collection. Volume 3, consisting of national airs, notturni, duets, terzets, canzonets, rondos, catches and glees in the Italian, French, English, Scotch and Irish languages. So, Mandy, Elizabeth, please come up and sing with me. And we're going to sing this all together in the concert later on. So pay attention. Okay? So this slide shows Corri's pedagogical annotations. 2 different types of breath. Star for a normal breath, star with a hat for a quick breath. In the A section there are 2 anticipation graces like notated portamenti and a turn grace. The B section has a mordant-like embellishment on the word bene, an effect that I would associate with early 20th century singers such as Enrico Caruso, to vocally pull on the heartstrings of the listener. And you can hear it really clearly in Caruso's 1916 recording of O Sole Mio on YouTube. And it kind of goes like this. Mannato sole, più bello in me. Whatever it is. So it's like a wee mordant. And Corri has notated this, a couple of 100 years, over 100 years earlier. And so here, the main tune is in the middle. Very confusing for 21st century sopranos. Okay? La mia bella sta a dormire, non mi vuol più tanto bene. La mia bella sta a dormire, non mi vuol più tanto bene. Se sapesse le mie pene, se sapesse le mie pene, non potrebbe riposar, non potrebbe riposar, non potrebbe riposar. There we go. And you can see that Corri, we get to breathe together, but we also have to breathe separately. So, I have to breathe before riposar, but Mandy has to breathe in the middle of the word. So each breath is covered, and then we get to breathe together up here, but then here, the little breaths with hats are staggered as well. I'm not sure that we did that, but anyway, never mind. So we're all going to sing that together later on. Okay, Dove sei? Handel, Rodelinda. According to the Edinburgh Musical Society, Francesca Corri sang this 14th of February and 27th of June 1783. Now it's a mezzo or it's a castrato, written for a castrato, usually sung by countertenors or mezzo-sopranos now, and Francesca was a soprano. So, I don't know. Yeah. And I'm never very sure about speeds. I think I tend to sing this one too fast, but I quite like the novelty of slowing down to try and be expressive with the embellishments. If the speed were overall slower and he puts there largo, now I think this might be Natale. There's a kind of a grading with speeds here, so largo is kind of quite near the top of being really very slow, but not quite as slow as grave. Why don't you set the speed and we'll see what happens. Yeah? Anyway, so that's kind of the A section of Dove Sei.
Want to do the next section?
Not really.
Oh.
Do you want to do the first couple of lines again, and I'll do the other ornaments?
Sure.
Because you can see Corri, he's already embellishing from the very beginning, but then he gives us other embellishments. So shall we just do the A2 section? And I'll see if I can fit them in.
Straight on?
Yeah. So singing the top line as it starts then. We'll do the other cadenza. Okay, so I did a workshop with this with some students from Yale University in June, and one of the mezzo sopranos was like, "Oh, it's like Haydn does Rossini," and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" It's like Handel does Rossini, should I say? And it kind of is, isn't it? That's a wee bit what it feels like. So we're going to finish with the 1782 section with another of Corri's original works, Solitario o Bosco Ambroso. Mandy, if you'd like to come and join me for this. So again, the breathing notation. He asks the singers to breathe. Oh, could we have the next slide? Slide 8. That's what it looks like. Sometimes we get to breathe together, other times you have to breathe separately. del caro bene, Signor Corri and Madame Angelica Catalani. So there's 3 versions here. You've got Natalie Corri's published version of what Angelica Catalani was supposed to have sung, and she sung this in Edinburgh, February 1810. And then later on in the year, Corri publishes this in the Singer's Preceptor, English version and Italian version. So Catalani's embellishments are similar and different to Corri's. She rids herself, according to Natalie's edition, of the awkward inverted turns which Domenico suggests, and seems to simplify some of the variations of a passage. And I reckon we just do do the first bit of Corri's, and then if anybody wants to kind of look at the Catalani version, then they can. So we'll just do a bit of the Corri version first. Although I was making a bit of a meal of that, I decided that I was going to try the chiaro on the, kind of decrescendoing as I go going up and all of that kind of business. So maybe Catalani did that as well in her ornaments. So slide 11, please. Oh, there we are. Voi che sapete, Corri's edition. So Corri's edition is now listed on the UK National Trust's online catalogue. Tom Coombe and Robert Meekings at the National Trust's Killerton House in Devon found this in the music collection of Lady Lydia Ackland, 1786 to 1856. So I first heard the Corri embellished version of Voi che sapete at the Edinburgh Festival in 1997, a few years after our thing, yeah? When Ingerdam Jensen sang it under the baton of Sir Charles Mackerras, and they were accompanied by the Scottish Chamber Orchestra. Mackerras, I now think of as a really high-profile 20th century student of Corri's, and his relationship with this version of the aria goes back apparently to 1958, when he conducted Elizabeth Schwarzkopf's performance of it in London. So the source that was used then was that handwritten copy of the vocal part given to Sir Charles by Fritz Spiegel, who was a flautist and the composer of the music for a TV programme called Z Cars. It was very exciting on October the 27th, 2021, when Tom Coombe emailed me images of that score. Since then, I've picked up my own copy from Abe Books for £15. So, Corri did include other music by Mozart in the Singer's Preceptor, and Mandy and I will sing the duet from Clemenza in a wee minute. However, this aria from The Marriage of Figaro is presented as a standalone favourite rondo on 6 sheets. It's listed as published circa 1800 in London. The piano accompaniment is likely to be Corri's own, and Neil hates it. And the added ornaments and graces are consistent with his other work, but the trademark breathing indicators are missing. So according to this edition, the aria was sung by the tenor Giuseppe Viganoni, 1754 to 1822, in Salieri's opera L'Angiolina, which Mozart's librettist and for a short while Corri's business partner in London, Lorenzo da Ponte, brought to London from Vienna in 1802. So since listening to and emulating Adelina Pati's recording for Neil's seminars last year, I'm trying out different approaches each time I come back to it. Clive Brown, in his book that is awaiting the new edition, writes, "It seems likely that many of the so-called graces that Corri describes and illustrated were still employed, though probably to a lesser extent and perhaps not in quite the same manner by singers who were born in the generation after his death. Vocal effects, quite different from anything a 20th century singer would produce, can be heard, for instance, in recordings by one of the oldest singers on record, Adelina Patti. And many of them appear to correspond with Corri's graces." So this echoes more of that discussion in my supervision of the 5th of December. Questions. Was Corri notating what singers do naturally? What is the difference between a leaping grace and scooping? Corri notates the pitch at the start of the scoop or grace. What happens if the singer then scoops to the grace note? And I'm reminded of Leopold Mozart on being annoyed at violinists, then adding appoggiaturas to appoggiaturas. When he talks about notation of appoggiaturas, why don't you just write them as part of the music? Leopold, from what I remember, said that you would then get violinists putting graces in front of the grace notes. Is that right? Yes. Yay! I got it right! Yay! Okay, right. So I'm going to just wheek through this Voice Sapete, and we'll see what comes out. All right? On your marks.
senza voler, palpito e tremo, senza saper, non trovo pace notte né dì, ma pur mi piace languir così. Voi che sapete che cosa è l'amor, donne vedete s'io non è cor, donne vedete s'io non è cor, donne vedete se non è cor.
So we're going to finish, go back to Corri's Singer's Preceptor, 1810, his edition of Mozart's A Perdona il primo affetto from Clemenza di Tito. So there's embellishments, graces, cadenzas, and breathing. And this is it.
Perdona il primo affetto, questo accento sconsigliato, colma fu dal labbro asato, a così chiamarti ognor, a così chiamarti ognor. Tu fosti il primo oggetto che finor fedel amai, e tu l'ultimo sarai. Cambiamela in questo cor, cambiamela in questo cor. Cari accenti del mio bene, oh mia dolce cara stelle, più che ascolto i sensi tuoi, e ne cresce più l'ardor. Più che ascolto i sensi tuoi,